Thank you very much, Paul. It is a great pleasure to be with you all today, and I would like to warmly thank Paul McDowell and the Center for the Study of Languages and Cultures at Notre. I have been looking forward to my keynote address ever since Paul invited me to the conference last September. It also comes at a particularly timely moment since I am on sabbatical this semester. A sabbatical which has given me the chance to reflect on the trajectory of l'avancée at Princeton University and its future projects. Today, I intend to address and emphasize key elements in the implementation of a successful foreign language theater program while telling you more about l'avancée, the French theater program that I have been privileged to create at Princeton in 2001 and direct ever since. I would like to put forward today a methodology with the hope that you may find it useful and apply it to your own projects. So at Princeton, I direct l'avancée, entitled the French Theater Workshop, in the Department of French and Italian. Prior to coming to Princeton, I had created l'avancée, which was then called l'atelier, at Amherst College in Massachusetts, when I served as teaching assistant and Lévy d'Espace Fellow in the French department. L'avancée, the Department of French and Italian, French Theater Workshop, offers students an original combination of linguistic and dramatic training. Based on the cours d'interprétation, acting classes, used by French conservatories, it introduces students to acting techniques and allows them to discover the richness of the French dramatic repertoire. Offered exclusively in French, it gives French language students, French certificate students, and concentrators, as well as graduate students, a chance to improve language skills and put them in motion. The program of l'avancée is composed today of two distinct entities, one curricular and the other co-curricular. The French courses, French 211 French Theater Workshop and French 311 Advanced French Theater Workshop, cross-listed with our program in theater of the Louis Center for the Arts. And, so that's the curricular part, and the co-curricular part, which is the Troupe, which performs an average of four full-length plays from the classical and modern French theater canon each year. Ever since its creation, l'avancée has produced more than 40 plays. A typical season may include one or two classical plays by Racine, Molière, or Corneille, a French farce by Feydeau, works by contemporary playwrights such as Pomerat or Pascal Rambert, and one modern play or two by Claudel, Ionesco, or Beckett. So the first idea, the first key element I would like to insist on today is what I call, and I say sorry for the lack of PowerPoint, but I will make these key elements very clear. The first one is delivering, what I call delivering on the theater and language learning. Every day at Princeton, I am reminded that teaching and directing a foreign language theater program means constantly delivering on two main areas, the theater and language learning. Students are principally drawn to l'avancée to improve their language skills and practice their French in an innovative and less formal way. They stay in the program over the years and develop a great interest in it for the exciting and passionate acting skills they develop, and for the new world of universal theater they enter. It takes, I believe, excellence in both areas, theater and language instruction, to offer students a genuine foreign language theater program. Students may join a program or workshop that promises them to help them improve their language skills. They may indeed better their pronunciation and ease at speaking the target language while participating in a play, acting in a scene, or partaking in acting exercises. Yet only serious performance objectives that apply the demands of the theater to the foreign language theater class, production, or workshop will keep them engaged and active, as well as desirous to continue their training and act in the next project. Similarly, the choice of play may be exquisite and promising. Students may have prior experience as actors and may be gifted in the craft prior to joining the foreign language theater class or workshop. The director may be very talented as well, equipped with solid experience and full of bright directorial ideas. If he or she cannot correct students on their pronunciation and diction, and cannot use this opportunity of putting on a play in a foreign language without succeeding in improving students' fluency and paying particular attention on their progress, for students and the audience, the expectations of the class, the play or the workshop will fall short, and the project may not be reiterated. I know for a fact that my students expect to make strong progress in their speaking skills when applying to join the troupe or the classes I teach. They've come to know that acting in a foreign language will not only give them the opportunity to act and discover a new field, but that it will also help them tremendously with their regular practice and confidence at speaking the language. They've also come to know that theater practice will somehow make them forget that they're pursuing work on their language skills. It's the pleasure they take in bettering their scenes, building their characters, entering a fiction, and playing a part that enables them to push their limits. If the workshop were limited to aspects in diction and articulation, it would not provide transformative results one hopes for in teaching and directing a foreign language theater program. The demands of the theater and serious acting serve the pedagogical objectives of language learning particularly well. Being heard, understood, pronouncing well, and articulating constitute the fundamentals for an actor. Applying these performance goals in the context of foreign language teaching should be at the core of the philosophy of any foreign language theater programs. It's the combination of these two fields and hard work in each one of them that help create the best results. I will give you another example. Strengthening this first idea, delivering on both the theater and language learning. The Paris National Conservatory welcomes a few foreign students for courses of study from conservatories of the same caliber throughout the world. These students are trained actors and have the opportunity to work with some of the best teachers and masters of the land. And yet, their professors sometimes express frustration with them, lamenting on their lack of proper French when they enter the one-year program. Well, little is done during the year to help them improve their language abilities, and no one really takes them by the hand to repeat sounds and make sure that their articulation improves. The reason? Acting professors have rarely had the chance to teach a foreign language and may not realize that for these exchange students coming to the conservatoire, French is a foreign language. Nor do they often know the simple steps to take to help students with their oral skills, sets of knowledge, well known, however, by the foreign language teacher. My second point, second element, is entitled Training Oneself and or partnering with skilled colleagues. Whether one is more trained in one area or the other, it is recommended to further one's training in the field less practiced, whether it be language instruction or theater, and to seek new development in these areas, in the areas less known. The theater teacher may find it useful to connect with colleagues in foreign language departments, attend their beginners and advanced level classes. The experienced language teacher will enrich his or her practical knowledge of theater training by participating in a workshop, enrolling in community theater classes, attending rehearsals and classes taught by colleagues in theater programs, while reading more on the craft of acting and its instruction by masters in the field who put down their methodologies. Some very practical books on acting, the ones read by aspiring young actors and their teachers, can easily illuminate the foreign language teacher. Nothing can replace practice and experience, but there's a wide range of opportunities to further one's training in acting. Whether one may lack formal training in acting or foreign language, there is also the possibility of partnering up with skilled colleagues. Like Jeanette explained to us this morning, a theater director who desires to direct a foreign play in its original language would not conceive doing so without the help of a language consultant if she or he doesn't master the language. Similarly, one can make up for a lack of specific skills and input with a colleague from either the theater department or the foreign language one. This can also create space for growth and personal development, surrounding oneself with peers or graduate students who can help share tasks and contribute to particular areas in the putting on a play or collections of scenes is an equally smart idea. And maybe with Paul, we'll explain what Bill, sorry, you did at Princeton last April when you came to visit. We can talk a little bit about that. I was fortunate to train in both areas. First as a student in English language and culture and Americanization at the University of Lille, and later as a French language teacher while teaching extensively in the language section of our Department of French at Princeton. And second, as an actor and director on the side of my formal university training at Lille National Theatre, under a skilled and renowned resident artistic director and professor of dramatic arts at the Paris National Conservatory for the Arts. I thus received training both in language and culture and theater, trainings I brought with me at Amherst College and developed there, as well as at Princeton University. I share the noble goals and educational missions of my colleagues in the Department of French and Italian at Princeton, and relate to peers teaching acting in conservatories worldwide, and to fellow French actors and directors whom I follow year after year. My training at the University of Lille with professors and researchers in phonetics, linguistics, and with British and American visiting lecturers helped me correct my pronunciation at the now forgotten language laboratory. These experiences have also impacted me greatly. One experience back then was particularly illuminating in college. One of my teaching assistants at the time, heading from nearby Bloomington, Indiana, successfully corrected my H's and other sounds in the language laboratory. He even directed me and my fellow students in the musical comedy Godspell, in which I played, because I had experience in acting, the leading role of Jesus. This experience proved remarkable in the sense that my American director and his English assistant offered unparalleled attention and guidance in the learning, pronunciation, and understanding of my lines. And what a better way for an American teaching assistant to share his passion for his country than by making us act and sing in a musical comedy so typical of the American theatrical tradition. Now, I move on to another point, which I entitled Finding the or a right mix of students. It's one thing to want to use theater as a tool to teach foreign languages. It is another one to recruit students to participate and commit in the long haul to the new activity. Our campuses are filled with students from diverse backgrounds, nationalities, and experiences. Assembling an eclectic mix may bring out the best results. If one starts a co-curricular project, extracurricular, it is easier to attract various kinds of students. Undergraduate and graduate students, visiting exchange students from the countries of the target languages, majors in languages and literatures, as well as scientists and students in the social sciences. If one develops a new course, one may be restricted to cater to a particular constituency. However, opening the class to fluent speakers and advanced level speakers who would be attracted to the course for the performing side of things and the equal chance to work on their elocutions and dictions may result in faster progress for the group at large. L'Avancée at Princeton and first at Amherst started as an extracurricular offering, bringing together students from France, students from the French departments, French exchange students, PhD students from France, graduate students in the French department, theater program students, and students from virtually every department on campus. Some were seasoned actors, but most had no prior experience in acting. They all came together with a shared interest in the French language and culture, with the willingness to start exploring something new. Today, I still attract the same types of students. It hasn't changed. Those drawn to the curricular side of l'avant-scène, French theater classes, often come from language courses, while those drawn to the co-curricular troupe still come from the very same groups aforementioned. It's always a good idea to mix levels of fluency. And I like casting French nationals in the troupe or the class with Americans. It helps American students greatly. French nationals or binational students, we have many, enjoy seeing how their American peers must work hard to progress and are always willing to support them in their quest. This is what Leah and Benoit were telling us today. Some years, the classes I teach are predominantly American, and some other years completely international. The troupe remains quite international, or global, I should say, with students hailing from Asia, Africa, Russia, Eastern Europe, and Latin America. For a long time, the troupe had more male students than female students. It's changing now, with slightly more women in the troupe. In classes, it fluctuates, though the trend has clearly been for more female students than male counterparts. This is also a common trend in advanced French courses offered in French, in the French department, but in many, many French departments. Ideally, it's always better to have an equal number of women and men, especially in the troupe, due to the scarcity of women's roles, particularly in classical theater, as you know. I move on to another point, which I call looking for spaces. Space where to hold rehearsals can be problematic. Foreign language departments do not naturally hold rehearsal and performance spaces. These spaces are ideal to conduct class workshops, rehearsals, and performances. Yet, so the regular ones, the legitimate ones. Yet there are many other options on our beautiful campuses. Open spaces abound in residential halls, college courtyards, chapels, libraries, museums. By thinking outside of the box, one can find many available options. It takes patience and thinking outside of the box, but patience and tenacity pay off. Building a good relationship with the theater department of one's campus is equally important. I collaborate hands in hands with Princeton Lewis Center for the Arts that houses the program in theater. But I still commonly use our non-traditional spaces on campus for most rehearsals. For example, the common room and classroom of one of the residential colleges, of one of them. I rely on the theater department for allowing us to use some other facilities once or twice a year, but I really had to find other places to perform our productions when they started to grow in numbers around 2008 and 2009. We still use on a daily basis these places that are not in the theater department. But we collaborate with them sometimes, and we have a good collaboration, but we're not expecting to have all the resources they have or to share them all the time. They're happy to give some to us, but they also have a big program, as you know. We started to look for new spaces around 2008 and 2009 when we started doing more productions, as I mentioned. We started to look for new spaces where to perform and started performing in spaces as various as the principal gallery of the Princeton University Art Museum or newly opened residential colleges, theaters, and outdoor amphitheaters. I move on to my next point, which is very important. It's called launching a pilot program. So now one has found students and a place or a space. It's a question of starting, of launching a pilot project that has space for growth. But doing what exactly? Directing a full play, developing a new course, or starting a weekly workshop. In my very first years creating and developing l'avant-scène, I had opted for a weekly 80-minute extracurricular workshop supplemented by private rehearsals and individual sessions at the language lab. 22 students made the very first group at Amherst College in the fall of 1999. I still use this formula today in the beginner's level French 211 French theater workshop course that I teach each fall. Here is what my pilot project was made of. A group workshop once a week that resembled any acting classes workshops, with a particular difference that it was entirely in French, and that it adapted classical French acting methods for intermediate and advanced French language theater students, visiting French students, in the context again of the American university. In the workshops, I kept students very active. Typically, students got involved in various acting exercises and practiced short excerpts from classical French theater, drawn from Molière, Racine, Corneille, Marivaux, or Musset. Workshops started with French diction exercises, meant to warm up and liberate the student's voice and help them improve their pronunciation. Particular emphasis was put on the pronunciation of the A, the U, the U, and the R correctly, while loosening up the jaw and lips so as to achieve better pronunciation. I adapted and created many diction exercises that proved their relevance in the context of the workshop. They served as introductory oral warm-ups, even icebreakers at the beginning of the semester, and they soon became a trademark of l'avant-scène. Their fun characteristics appealed to the students who often stood in a straight line facing me and repeating after me. They were also a great way to start entering and conquering a fiction which lies at the heart of the actor's craft. Traditional acting exercises in body movement for learning how to walk on a stage and apprehend the space followed and preceded classical scene study of short excerpts of classical, modern, or contemporary plays. After 2 weeks in the workshop, students were assigned a classical or modern scene to work on throughout the year, and I insist, the year. When all the scenes were cast, I started rehearsing each of the student scenes 1 hour per week. These rehearsals were scheduled outside the weekly group workshop in order to accompany students in every step of the process, from the first reading to the specific work on pronunciation and the staging of the scene. All the work culminated in an end-of-year presentation of works, a collection of scenes from major classical and modern French plays. This formula is still the one that I use in my beginner's level class each fall, though it's only a semester, as you know. The pilot program was successful, and I was invited for a new academic year at Amherst College to continue serving as teaching assistant and fellow from France. The second year brought equal success and new projects, such as the first quasi-full-length play I directed at l'avant-scène. It was Tartuffe by Molière. I move on to another important key element of my presentation, and I call it institutionalizing a program and evaluating students' performance. At Princeton, where I arrived in 2001, I recreated the same extracurricular French theater program. 2.5 years later, the students were ready for new challenges, and I divided l'avant-scène into 2 parts. The traditional beginner's workshop, lasting 1 full academic year, and the troupe, composed of returning students in the workshop. With these students, I started directing full-length productions. At first, I had preferred not to direct full-length plays, favoring intensive work on short scenes with equal parts for each student. I could not conceive that students would be able to sustain and produce quality work for the duration of an entire play. Since the focus of the workshop was on improving language skills and entering French theater through the rigorous study and rehearsal of one scene, it did not make sense to me to put on full-length pieces. After directing the workshop for a few years, however, it became obvious that the students were now ready to act in full productions. The program had developed, as well as their habits working with me. With the production of full-length plays, l'avant-scène took on a new dimension. Students were able to fully immerse themselves in a playwright's work and universe, and to experience all that is at stake in building a character for a complete play. Performing in full-length plays also offered students the chance to take their language skills to the next level, as full productions require much more diction work to master. Students made astonishing progress from one play to the next. Not only did their acting skills improve as they took on new projects, but they also blossomed as actors along the way. 2006 marked the year when l'avant-scène started to become more institutionalized with the transformation of the beginner's level workshop I had taught for 7 years at that time into a semester-long course. A new course followed in 2010. It's the sequence of that original course, the advanced level of the beginner's course, the advanced one. Institutionalizing the program and launching new courses meant developing a methodology for evaluating students' performance and grading them fairly and efficiently. A detailed syllabus presented the course objectives and grading policy. To this day, I use more or less the same methodology to evaluate students' work in classes. In addition to grading participation in class discussions and group exercises for 20 points, I grade attendance, which I expect impeccable, for 10 points. I grade the rehearsal and performance work out of 30 points. Then, what I have come to call progress and efforts in diction out of 20 points. And also I grade written critical responses and short reviews of plays written in French, of plays seen as a class on DVD, or at l'avant-scène, plays put on by the Troupe of l'avant-scène. Finally, students elaborate on an ideal staging of their individual scene for the final semester 4-page-long paper in French, worth 10 final points. A particular scale determines their final grade. Each point does count in the end. Typically, an 87 is an A-, and A's start at 90 points. I drew inspiration for grading this way from what colleagues do in acting classes offered by the program in theater at Princeton. And there was a time when there was grading deflation policies at Princeton, so we had to really pay attention to how we were grading classes. So I drew inspiration from the program in theater so that we all have the same grading policies in our acting classes. Students receive feedback on their progress and performance and are encouraged to excel in every area of the course. Students train in classes and grow in them as actors while gaining more confidence in their language skills. It is often recommended that students take one of the 2 French theater classes or both before joining the Troupe of l'avant-scène in the co-curricular section of the program. When entering the Troupe of l'avant-scène, they start being cast in some of the season's plays. There are no auditions per se for the troupe. I either invite students to join the troupe or students express their interest in continuing their French theater studies and joining l'avant-scène. I choose students on the basis of their motivation, room for growth and development, and potential dedication to the troupe. It is often easier for students to join the troupe in their first years as they have ample time to train and grow in the program. Synergies between departmental language sections and the foreign language theater program help further strengthen its institutionalization. For example, the productions of l'avant-scène or those of our French theater festival, Seul en scène, are now included in the syllabi of advanced French language courses. Students attend at least one production per semester, offering them the opportunity to see a performance of a play that they are studying in class. Similarly, students enrolled in advanced French literature courses are encouraged to attend the performances so as to enrich their curriculum and overall experience in our Department of French and Italian. Some graduate seminars also benefited from the recent season's offerings. For departments of foreign language and cultures, the foreign language theater program can be a vehicle to help promote their language and studies on campus. It can contribute to giving a greater visibility to their departments and help attract and retain more students to its classes. L'Avant-Scène has sometimes played a role in consolidating students' decisions to become French majors, and student members of L'Avant-Scène who major in other departments have sometimes chosen to further their interest in French literature and culture by enrolling in advanced courses offered by the department. In a particularly competitive environment where undergraduate students have to choose one major or one concentration, as we call them at Princeton, L'Avant-Scène has chiefly served as a promoter for French language and culture. It has also contributed to give him a solid reputation for the department as an innovative and dynamic section, expanding from expected cultural offerings traditionally supported by French departments, such as residential theme houses or language tables. L'Avant-Scène has brought a new creative dimension to the presence of the French language. Drawing from a large audience in the university and surrounding area communities, it has built a unique place for French culture on campus and garnered substantial support from theater groups and the university's program in theater. I will move on to another key important aspect, which I call promoting the literature. To thrive. So now we have students, we have a space, we have the institutionalization, we have classes, we have developed things, we moved on from a pilot program to a more established program. To thrive, I believe the foreign language theater program ought to promote the rich literature it brings to life. Playwrights and their world stand at the center of the successful program. What's stimulating for students and what keeps them coming back is the richness of the repertory that they get to tackle and discover. The literature is the program's director's best weapon. Each language boasts a rich canon that students are eager to explore. They respond to different forms of theater and time periods with enthusiasm. Each new season, I try to find the right balance between classical works, more modern plays, and new creations by contemporary playwrights. French theatrical repertory is remarkably rich and diverse, as are other foreign repertories. After years putting on the classical and expected writers such as Feydeau, Molière, or Racine, or leading contemporary playwrights such as Bernard-Marie Coltès, I started directing some Corneille, Claudel, Ionesco, who seems easy at first, but very challenging to put on because it requires excellent skills and understanding of subtleties by the part of the actors. But then I moved on to directing some Maeterlinck, Genet, Musset, or Marguerite Duras. Using resources, that's another key element. Bringing experts to your campus, such as foreign actors and directors, stimulates students in invaluable ways. One can look at the offerings of the cultural services of the US Embassy of the country of the target language. Actors and directors sometimes travel in the United States to present films or develop theater projects. Partnering with foreign embassies and cultural centers can facilitate growth. That's also their mission in the first place, as they always look for collaborations in higher education on America's great campuses, because they know they train the next elite of this country, so they know that they need to have a presence on campuses. L'Avant-Scène has tremendously benefited from the support of the French Embassy's cultural services that helped fund and promote some of its important projects. I move on to number 9 of my points, which I called building a community. Original cultural projects have a strong potential to bring students, professors, and community members together. For instance, French film festivals, or of any foreign language, enjoy resounding success throughout the land. and there is a strong demand from local French community groups to attend cultural events on campuses, nurturing an audience and ensuring that performance work be seen by a large number of people can add much to the student's experience. Theater's most alluring quality is to bring a community of spectators together. The festive atmosphere it creates adds wonderful benefits to any communities that seek to promote foreign languages and cultures. I move on to my last important point, which is more a conclusion about l'avant-scène, where it stands today, and then we can engage in some discussion. L'avant-scène today, areas of development and common challenges. Today, l'avant-scène is thriving. In addition to curricular developments, the troupe has reached its cruise altitude in productions by offering 4 to 5 productions a year, as well as stage readings and other participations in events. It boasts an annual French theater festival entitled Seul en scène, produced in partnership with the Lewis Center for the Arts at Princeton, and supported by French government entities. Sustaining such productivity and level of activity is very demanding, though. As students do come and go, it's also necessary to start again every year almost with new cohorts of students. Students who seem more and more attracted, they seem, in fact, more and more attracted in many other activities, in an increasing number of activities, it makes for sometimes difficulty in scheduling things. Administering l'avant-scène has also come to represent much more work than it did when I first started the program, and fundraising efforts also occupied another important chunk of time, as there's always grant work to complete and push forward. Areas of development are plentiful, though, in the near future, and I look forward to them with excitement. These include teaching graduate students and offering them a new graduate seminar meant to train them in the field so that they can market these new skills and perpetuate a nice tradition. Areas of development also include international programs that we will be launching at the Avignon Theatre Festival this summer. I would like to conclude now and also keep some time for also some discussions and answer your questions. So one of the keys to success in the implementation of a successful foreign language theater program seems to lie in the dedication of the person in charge of the program. Whether it is a full-time faculty member, a lecturer in the language program, a graduate student, or a professor interested in complementing his or her teaching by putting on a play, the level of the director's commitment plays a very important part. Prior experience in acting and directing are definite pluses in order to ensure that students appreciate the process and also enjoy discovering or refining their acting skills. If the faculty member has no practical experience in theater, he or she can arrange to be helped by a colleague from the theater departments, and tasks can be evenly divided between actors' training and coaching and work on the pronunciation and analysis of the text. For a theater faculty member, teaming up with a colleague from the French department or any other foreign language department to put on Molière or Racine or Goldoni or other writers in the original language can be quite alluring. For the French faculty member, seeing fine theater come to life and supplement the teaching of the classics can be an equally rewarding experience. Another important aspect in order to succeed in implementing similar projects lies in the institutionalization of these artistic projects, as we mentioned, namely offering students credits for their participation and incorporating it to the class syllabus or program of studies. As I showed earlier, it took nearly 5 years before l'avant-scène started offering its own classes at Princeton. Time and particular context are often necessary to convince colleagues and departmental chairs and representatives to create new additions to the curriculum. What can be achieved faster is, for instance, attempting to add a performance component to a course on foreign language theater, French theater, Italian theater, German theater, asking students to perform an end of semester scene or take part as actors, designers, or technicians in a class performance project. That's what Kelly was telling us about. Writing on their own experience or writing entries in a diary that records the creative process can further help evaluate students. Finding spaces on campus to rehearse and perform can be challenging, especially when various departments do not have a pre-existing culture of collaboration. Ingenious solutions can be found, though, and there are often open white spaces available where rehearsals can take place. Attracting students to rehearsals can be easily achieved by the fact that students mainly live on campus in American universities and are willing to engage in extracurricular activities. They also need them. If they can clearly see the advantages of theater practice in a foreign language, they can be more easily committed to a performance project. In addition to seeking help from colleagues in the theater department, the faculty member can ask graduate students to participate in the initiative by helping to correct students' pronunciations or contributing in other capacities during the crucial week of performances. This experience can later help them market themselves better when applying for jobs. Over the past years or seasons, what has marked me the most has been the constant evolution of the quality of the students' acting talent and their continued enthusiasm, hard work, and imagination. I have marveled at the students' ability to learn quickly and invest themselves in the world of their plays, all in a foreign language and with particular demands in the quality of pronunciation, enunciation, and projection. To see the students come out of themselves, their comfort zones, and fully commit themselves to the art of acting during several consecutive semesters in training is a true pleasure. Having the chance to teach and direct students for several semesters, and for a good number of them during their entire 4 years at Princeton, is an opportunity that has no equal. The student's development as an actor over time, and not just for one single performance, is the backbone and philosophy of the program. Thank you very much. And I brought you two very short videos. So the first one I will show you is the pilot program I was telling you about. The way I still teach today in the courses, which is at the heart of the program. So I will show you, it was a video made by the university, and it shows the beginner's level class, which is modeled after what I did, created at Emerson and brought to Princeton. So we're going to click here and play French theater behind the scenes. So that's the first video we'll see, and then we'll see the troupe in action. So this is the curricular part of level 7.
J'en suis ravi de même.
J'en suis ravi de même.
J'en suis ravi de même.
Prenez la bouche pour le bas. J'en suis ravi
de même. J'en suis ravi de même. Et sans douter de tout, madame.
Oui.
Mais plutôt d'un transport des airs qui m'entraîne dans
le transport.
D'un transport. Transport.
We were doing what I call a text lab. So I work on the pronunciation one-on-one on their lines and their scenes. And this is a great way to really make sure they improve their pronunciation with careful attention to the text. So there are different types of text labs. Some are just on the pronunciation, and some are on also the meaning of the text. Sometimes they have a hard time understanding everything, so we make sure they understand this way. And the pronunciation today was only focused on that.
French 211 was, without a doubt, it has been one of my favorite courses at Princeton. Florent really takes the time to work with each student individually, and you really get to know the individual works that you're studying. So each student performs either 2 or 3 scenes throughout the entire semester, and you get to work with different partners and also examine not just your particular scene, but the work in general.
Non, mais non. Tu vas pas essayer de promener dans l'appartement en chemise de nuit avec ton chapeau sur la tête.
Eh bien, je te prie de m'expliquer. J'enlèverai mon chapeau tout à l'heure. You learn about the intricacy of language and just how important pronunciation is. It's a very different concept than American theater. French theater, it's much more about the text, and a lot less about sort of what you're doing with your arms and all that jazz, which took a lot for me to learn.
Basically, we're covering all kinds of French theater, from classical to contemporary. We're doing Feydeau, which is something more contemporary, but there's also Racine, which is classical.
Bernice, Andromaque, a lot of really, really great French plays.
I think it's really cool how we have these private rehearsals, because he's an amazing teacher, and he really is putting a lot of effort into our diction, which is especially important. It's kind of underestimated because the acting we put it as like our #1 priority, but then obviously if you can't understand what we're saying, that is a disadvantage. So he's really, really helpful in diction.
Alors, qu'est-ce que ça te fait? Ça me casse ça. Je veux bien encore le tromper et le tromper. Ça te passe. Tu as une voix délicieuse. Quoi, je n'ai pas raison. Si. Seulement, voilà. Tu sais que tu m'exposes, ne m'approuve rien. Comment? Ne te prouve rien.
Something that I really loved about this class is that I do a lot of theater on campus, and I also study French in the classroom. And this class really gave me an opportunity to combine both of them. And something that was really, really special about this class is that our professor, Florent Masse, he brought in a professional actor, one of his friends from France, to come meet with us for a week. We got to rehearse with him. And he got to talk to us about his projects that he's doing in France.
It's a great study of sort of the history of French theater, and I loved every second of it. I took it in my freshman fall, and it was an amazing course, and it was one of the best ways for me to start off Princeton. And now I'm a French major.
Parlez-vous français?
Oui, je vis à Paris.
Ah yeah! J'adore Paris.
Moi aussi.
Okay, I will show you another short video. This is the Troupe, the co-curricular section of l'avant-scène, and this is a group in 2010, I believe. These were the short excerpts of the production by Jean Racine, Britannicus by Racine. And here you will see some students who were in that beginner's level class prior to entering and joining the troupe. They were mostly seniors. The group of the four male lead actors were all seniors, and there was a sophomore who had been in the program. You'll see, and we can talk more after.
Passons cette année une saison de fête fabuleuse à l'avant-scène, après vous avoir fait découvrir le théâtre contemporain de Jean-Luc Layard, qui dans octobre dernier a jusqu'à la fin du monde, et après vous avoir fait rire également avec Félo, la puce à l'oreille, en novembre dernier, place
Sur le mur.
Racine ce soir, dans le cadre magique du musée.
Non, madame. Néron suffit pour se conduire. J'obéis, sans prétendre à l'honneur de l'instruire. Sur ses aïeux, sans doute, il n'a qu'à se régler. Pour bien faire, Néron n'a qu'à se ressembler. Heureux, si ses vertus, l'une à l'autre enchaînées, ramènent tous les ans ses premières années.
Ainsi, sur l'avenir, nous osons vous assurer. Vous croyez que sans vous Néron va s'égarer. Mais vous qui jusqu'ici contents de votre ouvrage, venez de ses vertus nous rendre témoignage. Expliquez-nous pourquoi, devenu ravisseur, Néron désire la disfétante et la sœur. Ne tient-il qu'à marquer de cette ignominie le sang de mes aïeux qui brille dans Julie? De quoi l'accuse-t-il? Et par quel attentat devient-elle en un jour criminelle d'État?
Éloigné de ses yeux, j'ordonne, je menace. J'écoute vos conseils, j'ose les approuver. Je m'excite contre elle et tâche de la braver. Mais je t'expose ici mon âme toute nue. Sitôt que mon malheur me ramène à sa vue, soit que je n'ose encore démentir le pouvoir de ses yeux où j'ai si longtemps loué mon devoir, soit qu'à tant de bienfaits, ma mémoire fidèle lui soumette en secret tout ce que je tiens d'elle. Et c'est pour m'affranchir de cette dépendance que je la fais partout, quand même je l'offense. et que de temps en temps, j'irrite ses ennuis, afin qu'elle m'évite autant que je la fuis. Mais je te reste trop. Retire-toi, Narcisse. Britannicus pourrait t'accuser d'artifice.
Britannicus s'abandonne à ma foi. Par son ordre, Seigneur, il croit que je vous vois, que je m'informe ici de tout ce qui le touche, et veut de vos secrets être instruit par ma bouche.
Ce lieu me favorise, et je vous y retiens pour lui faciliter de si doux entretiens.
Je puis mettre à ses pieds ma douleur ou ma joie, partout où sa bonté consent que je la vois. Et l'aspect de ces lieux, la retenue, la rien, les yeux doivent être étonnés.
Et que vous montre-t-il, qui nous vous avertisse? Il faut qu'on nous respecte et que l'on m'obéisse.
Ils ne nous ont pas vus d'un vélo élevé. Moi, pour ce pays, et Dieu.
Empire à la fois, Rome. Si vous n'aviez appris à vous laisser conduire, vous êtes jeune encore, et l'on peut vous instruire.
Et qui m'en instruira?
Tout l'Empire à la fois, Rome.
Rome met-elle au nombre de vos droits tout ce qu'a de cruel l'injustice et la force, les emprisonnements, le rapt et le divorce?
Rome ne porte point ses regards curieux, jusqu'à dans les secrets que je cache à ses yeux. Imitez son respect.
On sait ce qu'elle en pense.
Elle se tait du moins. Imitez son silence.
Ainsi, Néron.
So it's interesting here because we have a French national who was studying at Princeton, but he's from France, and you will notice that he's not as comfortable in his body as the American counterpart, who is from Arizona, completely American, had never learned, spoken French before, but played a lot of sports in high school, was in the soccer team, and is obviously very at ease in his body. So we're playing with a lot of the different cultures. And the other student, Agrippine, was also completely American, but went to a special school in Indiana. She's from Kansas. But she went to a special bilingual school, and there was a student from Germany who also learned French in school, went to a world college before coming to Princeton, and so you see also the mix. And the last thing I would like to show you, and reminding you that you can find all these videos on YouTube. If you just go and write L'Avant-Scène or my name, you will find L'Avare, many other productions. I can show you very quickly what you may have. If you write L'Avant-Scène and my name, you can find different things. I mean, different productions. This is a UNESCO right here. We have L'Avare, Britannicus again, Lorenzaccio, Berenice, Molière, Cantatrice Chauve, etc. And the last thing I would like to show you is simply the Department of French and Italian website in which you can click. We are developing a new website for L'Avant-Scène, but in the meantime, a student has worked on preparing and developing a new website. These are a gallery of pictures. This is the festival I was telling you about. So these are one of the class visiting France. This is the cast I was just telling you of Britannicus, a student from Russia and from America. And this is the new generation again, a French national from Lyon, who's studying at Princeton for 4 years with Claire, who's absolutely American, went for 1 year in China, and has learned French in high school and continuing at Princeton. So I'd like to bring them together. This is a graduate student in the French department, also American. Tyler, American, loves musical comedies with Roxy from France. This is in France when we travel there, and other pictures of productions. And you also have La Troupe, the current members of the co-curricular troupe. It's interesting to read their backgrounds and where they like putting on these pictures. You can read that. You find on the French department website of the Department of French and Italian at Princeton, you can find and read more on L'Avant-Scène. And there's another site, but it's still up, but it has many pictures of past productions, but not updated. I brought you some of the documentation as well, but I would be very happy to also answer some of your questions if you may have some. I really wanted to show you these short excerpts to give you an idea of them in movement.